Alright class, please pay attention. So we're going to go ahead and get started today. Today we have two main important facts on our agenda that we're going to talk about that helped the establishment of Gallaudet University here in America. Do any of you, yes, Gallaudet is the man's name, that's right. So do any of you know how Gallaudet first became fascinated and passionate about deaf people and helping them? If you don't know, that's fine. I'll just go ahead and start writing down the names on the board. So if you see here, I'm spelling it G-A-L-L-A-U, det. That's how you pronounce it. What's so funny over there? Spell it with me. G-A-L-L-U-D-E-T. That's right. Good job. Some people just initialize his name T-H-G, but finger spelling that is really awkward. So we just are going to go ahead and use his sign name, which is right up here, Bible classes by your eyes. Did you guys know that he was a preacher? No, you didn't know. Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting little fact about him. It is true, though. What state did he live in? Do you guys know where Connecticut is? It's on the East Coast by the water, right close to Boston. Do you know where Boston is? All right. Yeah, it's east. So he was born and raised there. And he wasn't really a strong person. He was very sick and weak as a child. He has a lot of different issues. He wasn't old. He was young, but inside his body, health-wise, was like an old man. What is that sign for? Oh, pneumonia? Yeah, he had pneumonia, but it wasn't his only issue. He had bone problems, asthma, he had a lot of different things. So when Gallaudet was younger, he grew up and decided that he wanted to study to become a priest, a preacher, or a pastor. Did you know that you could go to college to become a pastor? Yeah, you could, and that's what he did. A lot of people back then, especially boys, decided they wanted to go to school to become a pastor. But Thomas Gallaudet, his health kept declining, and so he decided that he needed to take a rest from school. So he took a rest, he took a break, and decided to go home. So during the break from school, he still went outside and walked and enjoyed the outdoors. Back then they didn't have cars, so they just had a horse and buggy, and he traveled around town just to get fresh air. He just wanted some fresh air. He went for a walk in a park. Do any of you guys go on walks in the park outside of your dorm? Kind of what Gallaudet did. So one day he was walking and he noticed a playground area with a bunch of children playing. Anyway, stop trying to get me off topic. We're going to stay on this topic today. Gallaudet decided to sit down on the bench, and he just enjoyed watching the children play in the park. But he noticed one little girl that was sitting all by herself, and she wasn't joining in to play. Hey, excuse me, please stop. I know she was deaf, but just don't tell the other students that. Gallaudet thought it was strange that she wasn't going to play, so he walked over to her, and she was just playing by herself in the sand, drawing in the dirt and stuff. And Gallaudet tried to talk to her. Why aren't you going to play with the other kids? But the girl didn't have a response. So Gallaudet kept talking, and all the kids started yelling his direction to get his attention, and they were like, no, 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 she's deaf, she's deaf. So Gallaudet looked at her and was like, oh, that makes sense. So he tapped her on the shoulder, and the girl looked up at him, and he started talking again, and the girl just looked at him with a blank stare. No response. So his inner preacher came out, and he decided that he really wanted to help her. He definitely felt for her. And he thought, how do they communicate if there's no speech or no sign? Can they talk? Could you imagine that happening to yourself or coming upon someone who couldn't do that? The little girl had nice clothes. She had pretty ribbons in her hair. Her hair was in curly pigtails. Thomas himself was wearing a big top hat, like Lincoln. And so he took it off and he set it next to her, and he pointed to it and said, hat, H-A-T. And the girl again just stared at him. And so he was trying to think of what to do. So he found a stick and started to spell the word hat in the sand, H-A-T. And when he was finished, the girl looked at the word and then back to the hat that Gallaudet was holding, and he pointed to the word in the sand and his hat, and he could tell that the girl understood. Her eyes just lit up. So she stood up and started playing with Gallaudet's hat because she understood what that meant. And the girl was just so excited, and she kept pointing from the word in the sand to his hat. Behind them, the girl's mother was watching the entire thing and saw everything that happened and how Gallaudet had changed his means of communication to talk with this girl. So the girl's father came up, and they all introduced each other. And the man's name was Mason Cogswell. I'm going to go ahead and write it on the board. And that man was a doctor. So Gallaudet introduced himself as well. And his daughter's name was Alice. Please be quiet. Come on. Really? We're trying to have a class here. I need you to pay attention to me. So you know the statue on campus of Gallaudet sitting with a girl on his lap? Well, that girl is Alice Cogswell. In the American Institute, sorry, not American Institute for the Deaf, but I'll get back to that. So Dr. Cogswell was talking with Gallaudet and just learning a little bit about him, and Gallaudet explained that he became a preacher but was taking a break because he was sick. So Dr. Cogswell invited Gallaudet to their home, and Gallaudet agreed. So they went over to the Cogswell household, and their house was beautiful. Thomas Gallaudet saw all of Cogswell's certificates and diplomas for becoming a doctor, and he commented on them, and Cogswell said, I have all these things, but I still cannot communicate with my daughter. And you were able to in just a short time. So please teach me how you did that. So Dr. Cogswell talked with his friends in Europe and told them the story and said, yeah, we do have a school for the deaf. So Dr. Cogswell went and sent his daughter to Europe. Actually, pardon me, he wasn't sure what to do. He didn't want to send his daughter that far because it was expensive and it was really far for a little girl to travel by herself. And that was it.